Leta zunze ubumwe za Amerika zongeye gutungurana zisaba igisirikare cya M23 kuva ku butaka bwa Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo. Inkuru yatunguranye ndetse igatuma benshi bikanga n'uburyo Leta zunze ubumwe za Amerika zasabye umutwe wa M23 kurekura ibice byose uri kugenzura mu burasirazuba bwa Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo ndetse ikava ku butaka bwa Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo. Bimwe mu bitangazamakuru ndetse n'abakoresha imbuga nkoranyambaga bakomeje kwibaza ngo none M23 irajya he? Bisa naho Leta zunze ubumwe za Amerika zirengagije ko M23 ari abaturage bakomoka mu burasirazuba bwa Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo bahisemo kwegura intwaro kugira ngo baharanire uburenganzira bwabo nk'abanyekongo bavuga ururimi rw'ikinyarwanda bakomoka mu bice by'uburasirazuba bwa Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo. Ariko ubutegetsi bwa Kinshasa bwakunze kuvuga ko bari abanyarwanda. Ibi byose bibaye mu gihe Antoine Felix Tshisekedi yamaze gukandagira ku butaka bwa Leta zunze ubumwe za Amerika. Ese Perezida Antoine Tshisekedi yababifitemo uruhare? Niki cyaba cyateye Leta zunze ubumwe za Amerika gufata umwanzuro nk'uyu nguyu wo gusaba M23 kuva muri Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo? Ibi byaje nyuma yuko Perezida wa Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo Antoine Felix Tshisekedi yaramaze gusabwa gutandukana n'inyeshyamba za FDLR ndetse akazirukana ku butaka bwa Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo ndetse n'indi mitwe y'inyeshyamba yose ibarizwa mu burasirazuba bwa Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo no guhagarika imikoranire bya Burundi n'inyeshyamba za Wazalendo. Benshi bakomeje kwibaza niba Perezida Felix Tshisekedi yaje gusaba Leta zunze ubumwe za Amerika ko umutwe wa M23 wava ku butaka bwa Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo kugira ngo nawe abe kwemera ibi byose yasabwaga na Leta zunze ubumwe za Amerika. Gusa nanone abandi bakemeza ko ibi Leta zunze ubumwe za Amerika zidashobora kubikora kuko nazo zirabizi neza ko M23 ari abaturage batuye mu burasirazuba bwa Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo bahisemo kurwana n'ubutegetsi bwa Kinshasa baharanira uburenganzira bwabo. Ahubwo bakavuga ko ibi byose byatangajwe na Leta zunze ubumwe za Amerika ari mu rwego rwo gushimisha Antoine Felix Tshisekedi, dore ko Amerika ari indyarya zikomeye. Abasesenguzi mu bijyanye na politiki mpuzamahanga baragaruka kuri iyi ngingo bakavuga ko ibi bishobora gukorwa na Leta zunze ubumwe za Amerika mu rwego rwo kwereka Antoine Felix Tshisekedi ko bari ku ruhande rwe. Ni mu gihe kandi Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo iri mu bwoba bukomeye nyuma yo kubona ibikorwa bya M23 mu burasirazuba bwa Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo, harimo nko kubaka imihanda, ibikorwa remezo bitandukanye n'ibindi bigaragaza ko M23 yamaze gushinga igihugu cya Kivu. Bikaba byereka abategetsi ba Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo ko M23 yaramaze gushinga igihugu cyayo. Iryavuzwe rikaba riratashe, barikanizasiyo yavuzwe igihe kirekire ikava mu magambo igashyirwa mu bikorwa. Iki kikaba ari ikikango gikomeye ku ruhande rw'ubutegetsi bwa Kinshasa, bukaba buri gukora ibishoboka byose ngo bwitambike ibikorwa bya M23 mu burasirazuba bwa Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo. Mu yandi makuru, Perezida Kagame w'igihugu cy'u Rwanda yagarutse ku mubano w'igihugu cy'u Burundi ndetse n'u Rwanda ndetse n'imibanire ya Repubulika ya Demokarasi ya Congo ndetse n'igihugu cy'u Rwanda.
Muzi ibibazo tumaranye iminsi imyaka bijyanye n'abaturanyi bo muri Congo, ndetse rimwe na rimwe hakajyamo ibijyanye n'abaturanyi b'amajyepfo mu Burundi, kubera ko bahisemo kuba ubundi uko nari mbizi mu mateka Abanyarwanda n'Abarundi babita ko ari impanga. Ubundi ni impanga. We are supposed to be twins literally. Ariko Abarundi bo bahisemo kuvuga ngo no, ntabwo tugishaka mwebwe ko tuba impanga, turashaka kuba impanga n'abanyekongo. Okay, nta kibazo ufitanye nabyo. Niba umuntu afite guhitamo uwavukana nawe cyangwa wabana nawe impanga, ibyo ntacyo nabikorera yewe, urabyemera. Ariko uko kuba impanga cyane cyane kurimo politike mbi, politike yo kwiyanga no kwanga abandi, ibyo bakabihuriraho. Ibi ndabivuga ntabwo ari ibanga kuko ubwabo barabyivugira abayobozi b'ibyo bihugu. Nta kintu gishya nahimbye, ntacyo ndi buvuge gishaka abantu gukurikirana ngo ariko ibyo yavuze nibyo, cyangwa niba ushaka kumenya ko ari byo utega amatwi wumve ibyo bakubwira bo ubwabo. ntabwo rero twajya gushakisha ahandi. Izi ntambara zimaze iminsi, icyambere nagira ngo rwose mbisubiremo mbivugire aha mwumva, uzi ko wumva ko nshobora no kuba mbeshya ampakanye rwose ndishimana ntagira umupaka. Tubivuze kenshi, tubibwiye abantu benshi, barabizi ntibabihakana, ariko bakabivaho bakajya ku bindi. Iyi ntambara yo muri Congo mureba ntabwo yatangijwe n'u Rwanda, ntabwo yaturutse mu Rwanda. Bose mu byandike, mu bisuzume, mu bikurikirane, ababishidikanyaho murabimenya ukuri kwabyo. Intambara yaturutse ahandi, ntabwo yaturutse hano mu Rwanda. Aho handi sinirwa mpasubiramo, narahavuze sinirwa nongera kuhasubiramo. Yaturutse kuri Congo, ariko ituruka n'ahandi. Uko babigenje hagati yabo ibyo ntabwo bindeba. Ariko muri Congo ikibazo u Rwanda rufitemo ni iki? Ikibazo u Rwanda rufite muri Congo kijyanye n'interahamwe ziri hariya na politiki na ideology ishingiye kuri genocide, kandi bigahora iteka batunga u Rwanda urutoki ngo turaje bagenze nk'uko twabagenje ubushize. Ubushize murabuzi ko byabaye, ubushize murakuzi. Sinzi niba mutegereje ubushize abo bwahitanye kuba aribo babyivugira. Ibyo rero nabyo bikongera ibyo navugaga bituruka hanze, bikaba ko turi muri Congo gushaka amabuye y'agaciro, ko aricyo gituma dufitanye ibibazo na Congo. Bikaba ko u Rwanda rwacu ari rutoya, dushaka kujya muri Congo kugira ngo turwagure. Impamvu zikaba nyinshi, bakahimba impamvu, ariko bakanyura iruhande rw'ikibazo kimwe bazi nabo bagizemo uruhare, kijyanye n'interahamwe ziri hariya muri Congo. Interahamwe zari zaratujwe, interahamwe zahawe imbunda, zigisha ari abari basanzwe babizi, abashya bagirwa ingabo za Congo, cyangwa se ku rundi ruhande zirakora. Loni UN ijya gushyira ziriya ngabo za UN muri Congo, MONUSCO, mwibwira ko bazishyiriye kugira ngo bigende gute? Kuki barinze gushyirayo ingabo za Loni muri Congo? Ariko kugeza n'ubu iyo uvuga Loni rero ntabwo umuntu yumva neza icyo uba uvuga. cyangwa iyo uvuga international community, whether UN or international community, they more or less add up to nothing. Because the UN is everybody, but at the same time it is nobody. The international community is all of us, but actually it is none of us when it comes to some of these problems. So you don't know who to hold responsible. Who is supposed to be held responsible? In the end, the convenient path is to find a culprit, to find somebody else who is responsible, and that becomes Rwanda. When you talk about Rwanda, you know what you're talking about. It is this small country of ours, you, me, and others. But when you say international community, you really, who are you talking about? Now, that force was put there. I just use a simple explanation, try and cut the long story short. Many times, I meet ambassadors of countries credited here, either based here or based outside. Or I meet government ministers of different countries. And when you are talking about this problem of Congo, one of the many questions they ask is always, how many Interahamwe are there in Congo? How many FDLR? In other words, what they are trying to say is, you have turned it into such a big problem when actually they say some of them are old. They are 90 years old. Say, but if you are saying they are 90 years old, it means they are there. But to become 90 years old, if you have children that you train and put in their heads this kind of ideology, and they end up being militias or fighters within FDLR, I mean, how does being 90 years old become irrelevant? How? So they ask me, how many? The easiest answer for me sometimes is, why don't you ask the UN forces you put there? You sent these forces to go and deal with this problem, among others. So they should really be telling you how many or what they are doing. Second, I answer them on issue of hate speech. How do you count the numbers? If the president of the country, that is Congo, or his assistants or heads of different institutions publicly talk about genocide, talk about attacking Rwanda, talk about all kinds of things as relates to genocide ideology. How do you count that in numbers? So you tell me how many give such a speech? Well, I also tell you, even if you think there are few who give such a speech, there are millions who are listening. And among them, they are recruited into that, and they become part of the threat that Rwanda faces. Others come and say, yeah, but Rwanda, I think you are strong enough. I have not understood the meaning. I say, strong enough to do what? To sit back and be run over? I said, is that what you do in your own countries? I wish I was actually strong enough. I'm not. I wish I was strong at all. Then I would, take such threats as simple as something I can deal with as and when I need to do that. But I'm not, because I'm not in the end, because I even depend on you. One day you decide these people in international community, they have, I think they took things literally. They are helpful. I would say they are helpful. They have been supportive. But they even are supportive in creating problems for us. They are helpful in one sense of solving the problems, and helpful in another sense of creating problems for us. The amount of threats we come under on a daily basis. We will do this if you don't do this. We will do that if you don't do that. Sometimes you feel choked by this kind of. But instead of being choked by all of that, I will be choked by just being defiant and telling you to go to hell. You can't create problems for me, at the same time come and blame me for these problems, and then start threatening me. How? How? It's a daily thing. It's a regular thing. It becomes the conversation. Instead of addressing the problem the way it should be, these Congolese are very lucky. This Tshisekedi man who stands there and abuses people and threatens and does that, and then in the end, this same international community comes to me and says, yeah, you see, you need to do this, I say, what? And I tell them, don't you realize that by doing that, you are actually emboldening this person not to find a solution to their problems, or whatever problems that are between us and them. You treat a country or a president or a government like a spoiled child. You look back and ask, check. There is no blame that ever goes to the very people who created this problem and who continue in the same problem. But when it comes to Rwanda, it's our problems we are blamed for, and it's their problems we are blamed for. So we are blamed for two kinds of problems. Our own, we may have our own problems that for sure we will own up and deal with that. But how do we deal with the blame for other people's problem? They should be owning up to and dealing with. How do we deal with that? Just by threats? You come threaten people, I will do this. Well, some of them did whatever they did. But I hesitate to tell them, I say, okay, you did that, so what did you get out of it? Whatever you did, what did you get out of it? The situation just got worse. And for me, from the beginning, it was obvious it was going to get worse because you are not addressing the root cause of the problem. Instead, you are just massaging the people who are actually behind these problems. So how does the world expect us to behave? Just listen to them and do whatever they ask us to do, even if it is leading to our own destruction? Let me tell you, it's really not for our existence, for our well-being, if somebody intends to create these problems for us, we don't expect we don't expect to be asked to ask for favors from the ones who are causing these problems to us. We are not going to ask for a favor. Well, maybe someday when there are people who are like we have been decades and hundreds of years ago, maybe those people, because who knows, we can always, through such a manipulations and so on, have people emerge who think that is the way we should live. Maybe, I don't know, but in some of us, his lifetime, in our lifetime, some of us will try and stand up to that. So this problem, by the way, if we were really in Congo for minerals, would be 100 times richer than we are now. But I think also why we and you know, I saw recently people sort of celebrating, say, you see, we have always said Rwanda is in Congo and they have been denying, now they have, no, that is nonsense. I think people who are being told are not listening. And what they have been told for years, they have not been listening, because I've been asked thousands of times, you say, is Rwanda in Congo? There is something that says everything you need to know about defensive measures we took to deal with that threat coming from Eastern Congo or from Congo. Now, my answer, simple answer, which says everything, has always been, if you ask me whether we are in Congo, do you first ask yourself, why would Rwanda be in Congo? Then you would get the answer without asking me. If you ask yourself that this Rwanda, which is accused of being in Congo, why this accusation? First of all, it is not about minerals. That one is aside, for sure. It's not for any other thing, for sure. Except we have told you for the last 30 years about the threats coming from Congo to do with our security, and those threats have materialized several times. You just don't want to see it, you don't want to hear it. So, but what are they looking for? When they're asking you, are you in Congo? Are you in Congo? Either you say no, and the question of defensive measures we took are also seen as if they are not there. And if you say yes, that becomes the only problem in the world to deal with. Even legally, the lawyers who are here, you see the Minister of Justice, if you say yes, every other problem will disappear. They just take you on saying, yes, you are there. So every problem, in fact, you will have made it easier for them to load the problems of Congo on your shoulders now. That's it. So you saw one time a journalist asked me, say, are you in the CNN? It was, I must have seen it. And when I said, I don't know. Simply, that is really technically not an answer I should have given. But also technically, it is an answer that would not take me to court. So, how do you prosecute an ignorant man who doesn't know what you're even talking about? It becomes difficult. So, but this whole back and forth thing has trivialized the real issue. The real problem has been trivialized. But there are big issues to deal with. Congo must own up. They have responsibilities, and must not transfer their responsibilities to Rwanda. We're not responsible for Congo. The history and whatever it is, that one, people can make their own judgment. But we cannot carry our own problems and carry Congo's problems. No. And for protecting our people, that one we shall. There's no question about it. But there is more unfairness to this world. Anyway, let me reserve some other comments for another time. And give space for other things. But I thought I needed to give you a bit of what is on people's minds, but this is also not what we are talking about. I don't think this is a problem that is not that cannot find an answer, that cannot find a resolution. I don't think so. There is a way to resolve this matter, but people just don't want to resolve it. Maybe it also becomes an industry for some people to keep having a war going on, and there are lots of benefits to some people. But otherwise, if you address the root causes, and they are known, and simply put responsibility where it belongs, and accountability, I think this problem can be resolved, the Congo problem. And must be looked at holistically. How it is the whole of Congo, it's the region, it's Rwanda, Congo, it is. All right, so thank you very much, and I hope we have started the year, everyone, on a good note. After a long break and so on.